Hey y'all, welcome to the Rock and Roll Bacon Show. I'm Mizzery, and today we're on to the second step, which is still in basics. I'm going to show you how to bake, how to level. After that, we'll go on to more in-depth things. What you need: your perfectly prepped cake pans. I have two 8-inch rounds, 2 inches tall, two 6-inch rounds, 2 inches tall, and I want the batter to go for the entirety of the height of the pan. So, your batter. Once your pan is prepped, put your batter in here. I know that 4 cups of my batter equals 1 perfect 8-inch round, 2 inches tall. So I prep 1 batter at a time. There's about an inch, about that much from the top of the pan, from the lid. And this will rise just barely above, and it'll just barely dome. So once you have your batter in here, beat the pan. See how the bubbles rise into the top? You don't want those in your cake. Now straight into my preheated 300-degree oven. Important thing to talk about: your oven temps. Your oven temp is not going to be what everyone else's is. They're all different. Every single oven cooks differently. What mine does is it cooks really fast. So the best possible way to keep doming from your cake, and you know what I mean, when it puffs up and you got a round top and you weren't going for a round top, the best possible way to keep as much doming down as possible, I've tried everything. I've tried the flour nails, I've tried the pan on top with beans in it. Don't do that. It's a freaking mess. All it does is rises up against the bottom pan and spills over into the bottom of your oven, and you're left with your house smelling like burned cake for the next 2.5 weeks. So don't do that one at all. The flour nail, limited success. That's where you put a flour nail in the bottom center, pour the batter over it, and it's supposed to disperse the heat evenly. Not so much. Doesn't really work at all. The cooking core, which is like a cone, it's a metal cone that you put in the middle, those work really well for the big sculpted cakes. Like I've got one that's a bell, a big shape of a bell. I have to use the cone in that one or it doesn't cook all the way through. Sometimes, depending on the batter I use, I have to use the cone in the giant cupcake. But as far as regular pans, I've noticed no difference with the cone. So again, a waste of time, more crap you gotta wash. The best way to prevent doming is to cook low and slow. I'll show you when it comes out what we're gonna do to cool it. The cakes are out of the oven. Rock on. What you need now, a bread knife. The best way, also very important, I have changed gloves. You do not want to use the same gloves that you use to mix the batter to play with your cooked cakes because cross-contamination. So, change gloves. Now, I've got my crappy little Wilton turntable here. These are terrible. Don't buy them. Buy a better brand. This one sucks. I've bought about 6 Wilton turntables and every single one of them have sucked. Next, I'm going for a Fat Daddy-O's or an Ateco, however that is. Now, your cakes are done. This is still piping hot. Do you see what I meant? Yep, still piping hot. Yep, that was genius. You see what I meant about the minimal doming? To level your cake, lay your knife flat across your pan and turn the cake. See, we didn't have to remove much at all, right? You want to turn your pan against the knife and not actually move your knife because you're going to get uneven cutting. I do not have a cooling rack, so this is just a plain 10-inch cake board. Flip. Still hot. Still hot. Remove. Remove. Look at that. I don't know if you can see the steam or not. Keep touching it, idiot. Now what we'll do once this cools completely is we will go through with our bread knife and we're going to cut down so that it's completely flat, because there is a tiny, tiny lip at the very bottom that's sticking out and it's making it a little bit uneven.
I said you won't go where the flow, the rebel inside is the power.
You got anything like this, come back. You can do a little bit of sawing, but be careful because you don't want to put divots in your cake. Okay, same thing. Flip. The parchment came off in the pan this time, so I don't have to peel it off. Always make sure you get the parchment out. Always. Okay, put this. You take your board, flip, remove. Parchment's still inside the pan. Set this to the side to cool. Grab your other cake. Flip. Make sure your parchment's in there. And let all of them cool. These cakes are completely cool, completely and utterly cool. No heat in them at all. That is vital. If you put any frosting on this while it is warm at all, it is going to melt off and you're going to have a disaster. So, cool cake, throw it on that pan. What we're doing now is we're going to get off this tiny lip that formed around the cake to make it perfectly round. We don't want any extra lip around the cake at all, or it'll poke out and your fondant will not be smooth. Okay, set it to the side. Next cake.
These words